On behalf of Brightmont Academy, I'd like to welcome all of you to the webinar, Why One-to-One Instruction Works. I'm Tina Pelt, the moderator for this webinar. Today, I'm privileged to interview the founder of Brightmont Academy, Ruth Wilson. With an education, Ruth brings many years of experience as a teacher and educational therapist to Brightmont Academy. Ruth?
I'm glad to be here.
So let's start by having you tell us why you founded Brightmont Academy in 1999.
I have the luxury of working with several students in the one-to-one setting, just on a tutoring basis, and I could really see how effective that model was and how successful these students became. So years later, when I was finishing my principal certification, I thought about making a school dedicated to having only one student in each class. And that's how Brightmont Academy started 12 years ago. Now we have 6 neighborhood campuses in 3 states and many successful students.
So what exactly is one-to-one instruction at Brightmont Academy?
The teacher with one student all the time. Every student gets the undivided attention of their teacher.
Great. And if a student family came to visit Brightmont, what would they experience?
The first things they might notice is just how quiet it is. So parents often comment that it's calm and it's quiet, and that's because all of the students are focused on their lesson with their instructor. If you looked out, you would see several different classrooms with a student-teacher pair working together. And if you just focused on one classroom, for example, a biology class, you might see a student looking into a microscope and their teacher standing right beside them, coaching them along, or maybe jotting down what the student is expressing that they see. Or it could be a math class where the student and the teacher would be sitting side by side, solving a problem on whiteboards and maybe talking through the steps as they solve. It's a very focused environment because the students and their teachers may be working on their own individual goals, but they're each dedicated to just focusing on that class.
And what transition times?
Transitions are much like any other school. We change classes at the same time, so all the students would come out, maybe have a drink of water and chat with each other, but then they'd go back to their next class, which might be just next door or 10 feet away.
And what have you seen from using one-to-one instruction?
We get to see academic gains because we're really focusing all of our instruction on that one student. But in addition to the learning gains, we also see students getting greater confidence and belief in their own abilities. We see them learning more about their learning style and what does or doesn't work for them so that they can become lifelong learners. We also see increased motivation because so many of the barriers to their success have been removed, and that just gives permission to take a greater risk. It's a very important component of learning is being able to take a risk, and so we want to put students in an environment where they can feel very comfortable to do that.
Experience watching many students succeed with one-to-one instruction. Why do you think it works so well?
That we can customize every step of the learning process. So that gives us a lot of flexibility to really hone in on what might be important for that student. A very key piece is making sure that the student understands the concept before we move ahead to the next thing. And in one-to-one format, there are many ways to check for understanding. We can also use instructional materials that respond to many different learning styles. We can offer more verbal cues if the student needs it. We can add visual information that might not otherwise be easy to give to a student. We use technology, maybe manipulatives, whatever is going to be necessary to help that student understand the concept. Then with the pacing, because we have only one student in the class, we can afford to give a little bit longer wait time after questions. And there's no risk of having another student blurt out the answer first, having our student feel flustered or embarrassed about needing a longer processing time in order to come up with the proper answer.
What about study skills?
Studies are a very important part of the learning process because we do see many students who have very strong cognitive skills and have a good mind to absorb facts and information, but they might still struggle in school if they're not able to produce assignments as directed, or they're not able to keep themselves organized and able to recall what they need to do at the proper time. Using the one-to-one format, we can embed these study skills right into the lesson so that as the student is learning their subject matter, they're also learning how to break down assignments, how to make reasonable estimates, how to double-check that they're really answering the assignment as it was given. And these are lifelong learning skills that every student needs.
And one-to-one instruction benefits a wide variety of students.
Really, anyone can benefit from one-to-one because the program would be customized for that student. We are able to accommodate students with learning disabilities or health issues or attention issues, really anything that might interfere with their ability to attend class or to understand information. I'm thinking one student we had with ADHD who came to us from a very rigorous private school where he was just completely overwhelmed and struggling in almost every subject. But at Brightmont, taking the same courses, we were able to break down the information into small, manageable chunks, and he was able to follow through because he was given everything in a step-by-step manner, and actually did quite well. I remember him commenting, well, it's just as hard as my other school, except I can do it. And that's some of the power of the one-to-one model.
In addition to one-to-one instruction, what contributes to student success at Brightmont Academy?
Staff really believe in the student's potential and believe in working with the whole child. So we take it upon our shoulders to really find that student's strength and help reach in a manner that can be effective. And we see those changes not just academically, but in other parts of their life. We once had a student who was so beaten down from her former school environment that she come in kind of hunched over and barely making eye contact with anyone, just go straight to class and work. But over time, we began to see her standing taller and smiling, and it was a very happy day at her graduation when I shook her hand to give her her diploma, and she looked me right in the eye, and then we knew that was a lasting change in her life.
If somebody chooses Brightmont Academy, how do they get started?
The step would be to contact the campus director. These are very seasoned educational experts. Everyone has at least 20 years of experience, and so much practice with really breaking down education and finding what will work for each student. And that actually is the first step, would be to do a meeting where the student would be present, sharing what has worked and what hasn't worked as they've gone through school. The director would help put together a plan where we would set a goal that we want to focus on while the student is with us, and then begin a one-to-one instruction program, which could take many different forms. Some of our students come as a full-time school option where they take all of their courses in the one-to-one format. Others might need help in just one or two subjects, so they would take a single class. Or another option would be to remain at a traditional school and attend Brightmont Academy for tutoring, where the student gets extra support using the one-to-one format. No matter what program the student enrolls in, the outcomes would all be roughly the same. We expect the students to make learning gains that will match up with the goal that they originally enrolled. But we also see increased motivation just as they begin to experience success and begin to feel more comfortable in a less threatening environment. Also, the confidence that comes along with succeeding in an academic environment.
Thanks, Ruth. And if a parent or professional is interested in learning more, how do they get started?
a great deal of information on our website at www.brightmontacademy.com. So everyone is welcome to visit the website, and you can also click on campus to find the phone number for the campus that's closest to you and set up a visit.
Great, Ruth. Thanks. This is really informative. We appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you.